Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'll be teaching us how to draft and cut a 6 pieces or a 6 panel skirt. And I'll be using a mini version, okay? And then to do this, you need to know how to draft a basic skirt or a pencil skirt. So we'll be using our pencil skirt pattern to explain how to go ahead and cut this. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be using a mini version. So this is my basic skirt pattern. I have the front and the back pattern, right? So this is my front pattern of my basic pencil skirts, and this is the back pattern. So pardon me for using a smaller piece. I wanted us to have a good view of the tutorial. Okay, so this is my basic front skirt. Okay, so basically your dart should be midway from the center front to the side. Okay, now I'm going to measure half of my bust span, which is supposed to be the distance from the center front to the point where the dart ends there. Okay, so you measure that. Okay, you measure that and measure the same thing at the hemline of your pencil skirt, and then you link the dart to the lower part of the skirt like this. So in essence, we're having a straight line. Okay, so this is center front and side front, and center front is cut on fold, and this is my side front, right? So I'm going to trim off. So okay, let's quickly do the same thing for the back pattern. So for the back pattern, it's the same procedure. I have my zipper allowance here. Okay, and then I will measure from my center back to where the dart stops. Okay, whatever it is, I'll also measure it at the lower part of the skirt, and then I'll have a straight line drawn all the way down from the dart leg, right? So I'm just confirming my measurements. Okay, meanwhile, you can just use one of the patterns. You don't need to use the two of them. Okay, so like I said, I'm doing a reduced version. Okay, this is not my measurement, right? This is like a mini version. So I'm just drawing a straight line down. So this is center back and side back. Okay, so we'll be cutting 2 pieces each. Then for the center front to be on fold, and then the side back we'll be cutting 2 of this. Okay, right, so now we are going to open up. Okay, and then we're going to cut out this line here. Meanwhile, I will trace this so that when I want to cut out the other side, it will be equal. So I've traced it out, and I'll use my biro to draw out the traced part like so. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out. So just follow me. It's not a very difficult tutorial. And so this method is the most, or should I say, one of the most accurate method. You have less or no approximation, and then the darts are hidden in the panels. So I'm just cutting out the darts like so. Okay, so this is center side front. Okay, and center front on fold, and the other side front. So it's either you cut 2 of this, okay, or you cut one of this and one of this. It's all the same. Okay, so that's for the front. So I'll put this aside. Now coming to the back, I would also cut out this way and cut out the darts. Okay, so we're cutting 2 each of this, right? So we have taken care of our pencil skirt. Now the next thing now is to determine the sweep of your sorry, what do you call it, of your 6 pieces skirt. Yes, so for a 6 pieces skirt, the wideness or the sweep of the skirt should be in proportion with your hip measurement. Okay, so there is no fixed amount of fabric you should use. Instead, you should work with something that will go, be in proportion with your hip. So the sweep is hip measurement times at least 3. So let's say we're working with hip 40 times 3, that will be 120. Okay, so the sweep of my own skirt will be 120 inches, but we have 6 pieces. The skirt is in 6, the skirt contains 6 panels. So I'll divide the sweep by the number of panels. So 120 divided by 6 will give me 20. So what that means now is, for each of my panel, pardon me, and I'm not very good in sketching, for the width of each of my panel, it's going to be 20 inches. So from here to here is 20, here to here is 20, here to here is 20. So that's 60 for the front. Same thing for the back. Okay, you also have 3 panels. So the width of each of the panel is going to be 20 inches too. And the back is going to be having like a joining for the zipper. So this is 20, 20, 20. So 20 in 6 places will give us 120 for the sweep of the skirt. I hope that explanation is clear. So you could actually do hip times 4 if you want to, but at least 3. So coming back to our skirts, okay, I'll bring all my pieces now. I'm going to start with the front pattern. So usually center front and center back, you have to fold the fabric to cut out. Okay, so now I'll bring a fabric and demo for how to cut it out. Now, when you're cutting, your skirts for a real measurement, you are going to add seam allowance to the skirt, the inseam. Then I'm going to assume that this is my Ankara fabric. Now, usually Ankara fabric, the length of Ankara fabric is 45 inches. Okay, so I'm going to assume that this is 45 inch. Don't forget, we're working with a mini version of the skirt. So this is my fabric here. So like I said, the length of Ankara is usually 45 inches. So what you do is you're going to fold the fabric into 2. Okay, that's starting with the front pattern, right? Yeah. So yeah, we'll start with the front now. So center front is usually cut on fold. I've been saying that for like ever. So now I will fold my fabric into 2, and this is my center front. Now the width of each panel is 20 inches, but because center front is on fold, that will now be 10 because it's on fold, right? But don't forget, this is a mini version. So I want to just show us how you place the pattern on your fabric and then cut out, right? So like I said, this is my Ankara fabric, and the width of the fabric from selvage to selvage is 45 inches. Now I'll fold my fabric into 2. Okay, so the wideness here now, from as in for the fold, is now supposedly 10 because it's on fold, but when we open it up, it will now be 20. But it's a mini version. Okay, so for my mini version, the width of my panel is going to be say 3. It's a mini version. Okay, but using the measurements I used, supposed to be 10 on fold, since the width of each panel is 20. I hope I'm making sense. Now I'll place my center front piece like this. Meanwhile, from the top of the pattern paper, which is the waist, all the way down should be the length of the skirt. So let's say the length of my mini version is 9 inches. That's for the length of the skirt. So I'm going to pin my pattern down. Okay, and then I will now mark the width of the panel, which is supposed to be half, since the center front is on fold. Okay, so literally it's supposed to be 10. Okay, so but for my mini version, I'll just do 3. Okay, so I'll just mark that there. and then you use your ruler to link the knee region to the part you marked, like this. Okay, I think I should pin the pattern down because it's kind of moving here and there. I would have to pin this down. So let me just pin it down, okay? And you should do so too, so that you don't have discrepancies in your measurement. All right, so here I'm just going to draw that line again. So from the end of the pencil skirt, you're going to link it to the width of the panel, like that. Then I'll just add ½ inch for seam allowance here, ½ inch all the way to the top, and then I'll also add ½ inch to the waistline, right? So let me just cut out now. So I'm adding ½ inch to the top, and I'll also add ½ inch here. So this is center front. So by the time you open it up, the width of the panel is going to be 20. 10 unfold. When you open up, it will be 20. Okay, let's say 21 because of the ½ inch seam allowance added. Now we're going to be cutting the back panel. The back panel. Yeah, this is the back. So I'll just pick one of the back pieces. Yeah. And then I'll fold my fabric into 2 again, like I did previously with the center front. And this time around, I have my side seam allowance already, so I'll be adding allowance just to the inside, the inseam. That's all. When I was drafting my skirts, I already added my side seam allowance. Okay, so side seam allowance taken care of, but you add ½ inch to the inseam and the waistline, and yeah. So now I would fold my fabric, and I'll just use one of the back pieces. So I'll fold my fabric again, same way I cut the front. So I'll just fold, and then I'm trying to manage my fabric. So I'm just trying to cut off the excess I have here so that we don't get confused. Okay, so here. Okay, sorry, that was a mistake. We want to cut the side front, not the center back yet, the side front. And for the side panel, it's not unfold. So you're going to be actually measuring out 20 inches, which is supposed to be the total width of the panel because it's not unfold. Okay, so but for my mini version, my total width is 6. So I've measured 6 inches from the tip of my fabric here to the other end. I'm measuring 6 inches this way, and at the top part too. Okay, yeah, we are cutting the center side front, not center back yet, please. So there, then I also find the midpoint. Okay, so midway of 20 will now be 10, but for my mini version, that will be 3. Okay, don't forget that the width of each panel is 20. Okay, so midway will now be 10, right? So I'm finding the midpoint. Don't forget that the side panel is not cut on fold, so you're going to be measuring 20 inches, not 10. So I'm just marking. I'm using chalk so that we can see what I'm doing properly. Okay, so now I'll take my center back piece. Okay, so now this is the total width of the panel. Now I'm going to take my side front panel and fold it into 2 like this. You fold it into 2 and then place it at the center like this. Okay, so and then you place it at the center. Now don't forget that for this small version, the length of my skirt is about 9 inch. So then I'm placing the pattern at the center of the panel. Okay, so I'll just pin this down now. After pinning down, then I will now use my ruler to link the both edges to the end of the panel, right? So this is my ruler. So you're actually going to do this with your measurement, right? The only people that might have issues are people that if the length of their skirt is more than 45 inches, because the length of Ankara is 45 inches. So if your length is more than that, you might have issues, or you might need to turn the pattern, the other way around. So you can see I've linked it on both sides of the piece. So I'm just going to cut out now, and I'll be adding 1/2 inch seam allowance to the inseam. Meanwhile, this side is the side seam, which I already added my seam allowance, but on this side I'll be adding 1/2 inch. Okay, so while I'm cutting, I'll be adding 1/2 inch seam allowance to that. So I'm going to cut out. Okay, so the difference between this and the center front is on fold, meaning the width of my panel will be 10 on fold. After opening it to be 20, but for this side panel you're going to measure out the 20 completely. I hope that is making sense. So this is it. So this is my side front panel. Meanwhile, I'll just use this to cut the second side panel. For the front we have 2 side panels and 1 center front. So to conserve fabric, you can turn the pattern the other way around, so this way you can conserve fabric, right? So I'm just going to use the top one to cut out the second side panel. Now I'm done cutting. So these are the 2 side panels. Okay, now let me take off my pin and display for us to see. This is one side panel and the second one, and of course my center front. Okay, so now that it's opened, the width of the panel is now the same thing with the side panel. Yeah, so this is it here. I hope that explanation is so clear. Now we're going to repeat the same process for the back. Okay, so you just sew it with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now going to the back panel, let me just pin this together. For the back, it's going to be the same process. Okay, so center back too you have to fold the fabric the way you folded the front one too. Okay, so width of panel is 20. After folding, you're going to have 10, right? So I will fold that and just do it the same way we cut for the front. The only difference is it won't be on fold. Okay, as in we're folding the fabric, but because of the zipper allowance, we're going to open it up, right? So I'm just marking. Now I'm placing my center back panel. Okay, and this is the zipper allowance. So I'll just place this here and I'll pin it down. And don't forget, because it's center back, the width of the panel will now be 10. Okay, then after opening up, you're going to have 20. So let me just chalk this down, and then I will now measure the width of the panel. So you're measuring half of the width. So for this small version, I'm doing 3 as against 6 after it's been opened. Okay, and I'll just link this to the knee.